Hello everyone, I'm Attorney Krishna Ayratana Kagina and I will be discussing an online shopper's guide to data privacy and protection. Social distancing, prohibited mass gatherings, community quarantine, checkpoint, mass public transport suspension. These are the realities of the new normal after the government imposed the enhanced community quarantine on the entire country or selected provinces. Under the new normal, we have resorted to online shopping. We're availing ourselves of delivery services online through mobile apps or websites so that we can sustain our needs. But with all these advantages of online shopping, come risk. The surge in the demand of online services is resulting in a growing number of cybercrime cases such as fraud, retail scams, identity thefts. Sadly, despite what the world is going through, there are still those who victimize online shoppers for their own personal gain. Thus, now more than ever, we need to be vigilant in protecting our personal data while availing ourselves of these online services. Remember, the next time you go online, check them out before you check out. How will you do this? Tip number one, read the privacy notice. Remember, you have the right to be informed about how vendors and their partners will process your personal data. Usually, they do this through their privacy notice or posting of privacy notices. You'll see this in the mobile apps, in the website. It can come in a form of a video that can capture audience attention. So, under the Data Privacy Act, they are required to supply the following information through the privacy notice. First, the nature of the personal information, meaning they will have to enumerate here what are the personal data that they will be collecting, such as your name, phone number, shipping address, credit card, state billing or credit card information. And this will help you assess if the information they are collecting are necessary for the transaction. Second is the purpose. So for this one, they are required to inform you why they are collecting your personal information and if they will be sharing it to another company or will they be using it for a secondary purpose which is not related to the transaction you are trying to make, such as marketing and promoting purposes. So if they will be using your personal information also for those secondary purposes, like marketing or surveys, they should be able to get your consent in collecting or using your personal data for those secondary purposes. So the processing of multiple purposes requires consent from the data subject. Third is the extent, meaning here they will inform you or they should inform you how long will they be keeping your data, will be deleting it after the transaction, how they will store your data, and what are the security measures in place to protect your personal information. So that's the extent. And lastly, they will have to inform you of your data privacy rights under the Data Privacy Act of 2012, and you can and inform you how you can exercise those rights and who you should contact from their organization to exercise those rights. So under the Data Privacy Act, you have the right to information, right to access your information, right to file a complaint when there is a violation of your data subject rights, and right to damages or be identified if there are any violation of the rights, and your right to object for them for their processing of your personal data. So these are the information that you have to read under privacy notices. So if they seem vague, or if you're not satisfied with the information that was provided, you might consider reconsider purchasing the product or availing of their services. So tip number 2: read before you click. Remember, you have the right to opt out regarding the collection and use of your personal data for purposes other than the collection of your other than the completion of your purchase. But before you decide, read the terms of the consent form cautiously. So in some instances, online sellers will also collect, use, or store your data for secondary purposes. Like our example earlier, they might also use this for marketing, for surveys, or for promoting their products. So if they will be using your data for this purpose, they will have to ask your consent, because this is no longer part of the original transaction, which is for the processing of your order or for the processing of your delivery service availed. So for this secondary purpose of using it for them to market their product, they will have to ask your consent. So before you give out your consent, you have to read carefully the consent form, like what you see here on the screen. The consent form must be unbundled with the other terms of their service. So there should be a separate consent form asking for your consent to the processing of the information for this purpose. So like this one, it's unbundled. It is separate from the terms of the main terms of condition of the contract. And then if you see, they provided an option to either receive the promotional materials through text messages or through email. Or if you don't want to receive the marketing materials and just want to receive samples, so you can just click on the option provided. So this is a good example of a consent form. Okay, so other example would be this one. So some consent form tend to be confusing, like this one. For example, the first line signifies an agreement. For the second line, it signifies refusal. So if you're not reading carefully, you might be agreeing to something that you really don't want to agree to. The second sample would be a pre-tick box, which is not allowed. So consent should be expressed. You should be the one who will click or who will say yes or who will sign your agreement. With this one, it is already a pre-tick box, which is not advisable. So you have to be very careful in opting in or providing or giving out your consent. Tip number 3: assess before sharing your personal information. Remember, share only what is necessary. Don't share more personal information than what is required to complete the online purchase. So what do we mean by that? Usually, when shopping online, you are required to provide your billing information, your credit card details, and billing address. And then you are required to provide also your shipping information, such as which includes your name, phone number, email address, and then the shipping address. So if the online seller or the delivery service provider asks for too much information, such as this one, it asks for the FB account and your age, or let's say it asks for your birthday, marital status, your ID or license number. You have to already be suspicious, because there's a possibility that this seller is not a legitimate online shop or online seller. They might just be fishing for information that they can steal to commit identity theft, or that they can sell to identity theft. So it is better also to just pay in cash and avoid sharing your credit card information when purchasing online. So you have the cash on delivery options available when you purchase. Tip number 4, purchase only from legitimate, trustworthy, and secure shopping websites. Remember to verify the authenticity of the shop's website and double check if it secures the site, especially the payment forms. Every time you check out and complete an order, you have to make sure that your personal information, your credit card and debit card details, your name, your address are secured, because this may result to a theft, credit card fraud, or online scams if they are hacked or breached. To lessen your vulnerability, visit only websites that are legitimate and trustworthy, or download only mobile apps for online transactions that are legitimate and trustworthy. For websites, note that secure websites URL has the padlock sign like this one, or the web address begins with HTTPS and not just HTTP. So there should be an S for security. And also, it is important that you check for security certificates like this based on international standards. So also, when you visit website, if you'll notice there are cookie notifications, you can check further what are the personal data or personal information being collected by the cookies. You can say no, or you have the option to adjust the settings of those cookies so that they do not collect more information from you. Okay, and also to check if it's a legitimate website. If the offer is too good to be true, most likely it is. So find out, do some research, check the reviews, and research on the online seller if they're really legitimate. Okay, so tip number 5, do your share in protecting your personal information online. Remember, it is not enough to rely on others for your personal data protection. Do your share and be vigilant. Use a unique username and password for each of your accounts. So this is the first advice on how you can protect yourself. Use a unique username in your social media accounts, in your emails, and in your subscriptions. I know we tend to use only one password for all of our accounts because it is easier to remember, but it opens so much possibility for identity theft, because if one hacker was able to infiltrate your email or your infiltrate just one account, and then if you have the same accounts all throughout, so they'll be able to gain access to all these accounts. So next, use a strong password or a passphrase. So what is a password? What is a passphrase? So these are the difference. A password is at least 8 to 12 characters long. Passphrase 20 to 30 characters long. And then a password may be meaningful or not. Usually the passphrase is always meaningful, but it's always meaningful. That's why it's easier to understand or to remember. But for passphrase, it is more advisable because it is hard to crack. And to give you an example, so these are examples of passwords and passphrases. Passphrases, if you will notice, are a combination or series of words that may mean something to you, and but it will not mean something to another. So these are passphrases that you can take note of, and that may serve as your guide. Passphrase may also be your favorite Taylor Swift lyrics. Remember, passphrase is the new password. So this is hard to crack and easier to remember. So might as well use a passphrase. Never click on links or images within a promotional email. So like this one, get a free estimate. So if you were really interested, instead of clicking in the link or in this promotional email, go directly to the website of the service provider, or of the online shop, so you can check there if the offer is really legitimate or not. Because avoid clicking on links or images, because it might be a virus, or they might be able to already gain access to your account by clicking on this. Okay, another one, never use a free Wi-Fi at public places when shopping online. Why is that so? Because free Wi-Fi's, or hackers love free Wi-Fi's. They can just easily gain access to your device by creating a fake Wi-Fi. So you'll see that there is a legitimate Wi-Fi hotspot, but another one will create a fake Wi-Fi access that when you connect to that, attacker will already have access to your device. So avoid online shopping using free Wi-Fi's, or avoid accessing your banking accounts online using free Wi-Fi. And then never disclose your one-time PIN or OTPs. For the one, there is an ongoing scheme right now for using one-time PIN, where hackers use your bank accounts or your bank's um, text messaging system, and then they will send you these messages asking you to click on the link. Once you click on the link, it will generate an OTP. They will ask for the OTP, and then you when you provide OTP, the next oh, they already withdraw the amount, the money from your account, or they already made transactions using your account. So be wary what you can do. Do not click on the link on those text messages. Instead, go directly to the website, to the official website of your bank, or contact your bank's customer service directly to check on the fraudulent or suspicious transaction. And lastly, keep track of your bank account and monitor your spending. So if you're using your parents' bank accounts, it will still be better to track what are your spendings, write them down, list them down, so you'll know what are the transactions ongoing. So if you notice a transaction that you didn't make, you'll be able to report it immediately. While we are waiting for the world to discover the cure for COVID-19, we cannot escape the fact that online transactions and delivery services are now part of our new normal. By being vigilant as we conduct our online transactions, we can avoid falling for fraudsters, or we can avoid being a victim of identity theft or cyber criminals. So thus easing the burden on law enforcement authorities and allowing them to focus more on pressing matters. So with this, the next time you transact online, check them out before you check out. Thank you.